Joining me right now is New Jersey Congressman, Homeland Security Committee member, and Transportation and Infrastructure Committee member, Jeff Van Drew.
Hello, Jeff. Apparently he's from the same Keebler Elves group that Jeff Sessions is from. Is everybody who's nuts about this shit named Jeff?
It's always a pleasure. Thanks very much for being here this morning. Your take on what's happening and what Joe Biden is going to...
I thought it was a great show. I thought what's happening now was wasn't quite up to snuff, but Rerun was always a favorite character, and I loved Raj. I'm just saying.
In his speech today at the UN, as he sits among allies and adversaries.
Frankly, in all honesty, I think he should almost cancel it. He's got so much to do here as things get worse and worse. If I didn't know better, this administration, I would actually believe, is almost purposely trying to destroy the United States of America.
Yeah, that's what's happening. We're almost personally trying to destroy the United States of America. How so? By what? Giving speeches at the UN, passing rescue plans, dealing with hurricanes, getting us out of Afghanistan. And by the way, this guy is among, Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey, is among the Make Afghanistan the 51st State crowd. He's one of these people who thinks we stay in Afghanistan forever. That's ours now.
I've never seen anything like it. And for us to have the unmitigated gall to go to the United Nations and tell them what they should be doing or what we are doing. I don't know. What's he going to talk about? The open borders and our complete...
Again, have you heard a Democrat anywhere saying we have open borders, people are being allowed to come into the country on any news program? No. What have you seen? Republicans across the board telling people the world over that we have open borders and that everyone is welcome. Republicans, you are solely responsible for people charging the southern border. Now, I know you think it helps you because you think this is what the Democrats supposedly want, but what you're going to ultimately end up having is the Democrats are going to put forward the comprehensive immigration bill and you're not going to vote for it again because you don't actually want it to pass because you're siding with like big ag business in the states and they want to use under the table workers as farm help instead of actually having card check, actually having a responsible back and forth over the border for people who live in Mexico but work in the United States and then go home again, all that kind of stuff. You don't want that. So the story is Biden's open borders. Biden's got open borders. He's open borders. Biden's open borders. The border's open. The border. They've said to the world, come on in. It's what? Okay. They've never said that. They said the border is not open in English and Spanish on multiple times in multiple Spanish-speaking countries. The only politicians in the United States that actually have any foundational power in the country, meaning sitting congresspeople, sitting senators in the federal government, who are saying the border to the United States is open, the only ones saying that are Republicans. And they are saying it everywhere. So if people are watching the news in other countries, and the State Department and the Biden administration, everybody's saying, no, it's not open. You have to get in through legal channels. They are being drowned out everywhere by Republicans, especially in border states, going out and saying, yeah, the border's wide open. It's wide open. Come on. The Biden administration, they're letting anybody in. They're letting everybody in. Who do you think they're hearing this from? Who do you think in Guatemala and Mexico and other areas, the green light is coming from the Republican Party. The Republican Party is the only party saying we have an open border. And so if people are coming here thinking the border is open, they are getting 100% of that message from the Republicans.
Lack of control of our borders since he's been president. Is he going to talk about the tremendous increase in the crime rate in our cities since he's been president?
I don't know. Did Trump talk about the increase in crime rate when he was president as well?
Going to talk about the supply chain problems that we have, the employment problems we have, and lack of employees. Is he going to talk about...
Yes. He's spoken about a bunch of those things domestically. But it's considered bad form as an American president anyways, to go speak at the UN and go, hey, the problems we have. America, we're just a piece of shit right now. I don't know why anybody would follow. I don't know anybody would. Yeah.
done with his energy policy, where he's helped other countries, but literally is diminishing our country. You know, I was reading something.
Literally? Is he literally diminishing our country? He's literally doing it. How is he literally doing it? Why? How is he? Can you explain? He's literally doing it, so it should be easy. I mean, if it's literally, you should be able to hold up a piece of paper, literally, and say he's literally diminishing our ability. Here it is.
That they were comparing him to Donald Trump because he made a deal. There's nothing about him that is like Donald Trump.
That's the sweetest thing I think anyone has ever said about Joe Biden. That's adorable. You know what? I'm going to take back everything you said so far, Jeff, because that's very sweet. That's adorable. That's really lovely. Principal from Back to the Future, Hal is not a slacker. Yeah, I am not. Thanks, Gonzo.
We were dealing with the United Nations or other countries. We were strong. Let me be clear.
We were? We were strong. Were we strong? Yeah? How were we strong? We were still in Afghanistan. We weren't getting out. Yeah. We didn't have a united group between the U.S. and Australia to push back against China with nuclear-powered subs. We didn't have that. Why not? We wouldn't want to piss off France.
Must get along and work with other nations, but the United States is our responsibility as elected officials. This is the greatest country that ever was in the world.
Well, apparently not. According to you, it's a piece of shit. Apparently, Biden should just go in there and go, yeah, we're falling apart. There's nothing left. I don't know even how you deal.
And to think that we're allowing Russia to build pipelines, but we're not, that we're...
Oh, you mean Canadian shale oil pipelines, asshole? Do we have to look at the map again? Do you think he knows? I mean, he's a New Jersey politician. He has to know how many let's see. How many pipelines in the U.S.? There you go. There you go. Let's see. Just in case, would you guys, anybody care to see what, how many pipelines we have in the United States? See those things? Those are pipelines. We got a lot of pipelines. Where are the pipelines? Here you go. Crude oil, natural gas, refined, gasoline mainly, and CO and 832. There you go. There's these big pipelines, and then there's the little spidery pipelines that go off of those. Map of U.S. interstate and intrastate natural gas pipelines. That's just natural gas pipelines in the United States. I'm sorry, we can't have a pipeline. Biden won't let us have a pipeline. Biden stopped us from having a pipeline. It's a Canadian pipeline bringing Canadian shale oil to market, which would compete with American oil, I guess. But, all these people, there's no jobs in the pipeline industry. For the pipeline, there's no pipelines in the United States. Why can't America have a pipeline? Why aren't there more pipelines? Obviously, we need some further out in the deserts between, I don't know where the fuck, in Nevada and Northern California, I suppose. Why would you do that, Joe Biden? Why would by the way, this is a big lefty think tank. Where are the pipelines? These are liquid pipelines, natural gas pipelines. This is the American Petroleum Institute's website, just in case you think I went to some sort of weird, lefty website. There you go. More than 190,000 miles of liquid petroleum pipelines traverse the United States. Now, I don't expect Trump fans, Republicans in general, to know that at all, because they watch Fox. And according to Fox, we can't have a pipeline. Biden won't let us have a pipeline. All we want is one little pipeline. And they won't let us have a pipeline. Where's the pipeline? Yeah, there's this is New Jersey over in here. There you go. This area. Where are we? Yeah. There's a bunch of pipelines in there. Refined natural gas. There's the natural gas pipelines. There's a few of those. Decades of progress. Fantastic. But we can't have a pipeline. Guys, we can't have a pipeline. Biden won't let us have a pipeline. Well, he won't let us have a Canadian shale oil pipeline that gets Canadian shale oil to market via overground routes through the United States instead of, guess what? The Canadians can build a shale oil pipeline if they want to that goes east or west out of their own goddamn country. Love you, Canadians, but what the hell? Why does it have to run through the United States down through Texas to the Gulf of Mexico? Just run it the other directions. I love you, Canada. I lived there for 6 years. I love you guys. Yeah, no more canals. Biden won't let us have any sand in our deserts.
Allowing other countries to build, coal plants, China, India.
Yeah, we can't stop those countries from building things. What do you want to do? Strafe bomb coal plants? We can lower our impact and then work on economic pressure to get them to slow down that process. But we've got to make up for it in what we use because we put a lot more CO2 into the air than a lot of other countries as small as we are. If we can cut that back, we can have a massive effect. What's your solution, asshole? What is it? What are we going to do? We strafe bombing India now? Are we nuking any new coal plant that China puts forward? What are you talking about?
And we, again, are...
By the way, this beautiful clean coal. I don't know what the problem is.
Back in energy and production is mind-boggling. I literally feel like I'm living in the Matrix. If you remember that movie from...
there was no one like you in the Matrix. I'm just saying. The Matrix, there were no elves at all that I remember. It's been a while.
Ago with Keanu Reeves, it's just so bizarre, and it just keeps getting worse. Marie, I worry.
How so? How do you feel like you're in the Matrix? I want to know how deep this analogy goes. I mean, don't try to stop bullets with a wave of your hand. I'm just saying, I'm worried about you.
Country for real. We are on the edge, and we've got to come back.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Unfortunately, I'm worried as well, Congressman. I think we're in very dangerous waters right now, particularly as the Chinese Communist Party wants to overtake the United States as the #1 superpower, and Joe Biden seems to be giving it away.
Oh yeah, is he? Is he? Sorry. I mean, you got to understand, Maria Bartiromo, guys. I mean, she's on Fox. She's on Fox Business. So, let's see. Maybe she's not up to speed on the current state of affairs. China's economic model has run out of road, and the process of putting it on a new track is likely to bring more Evergrande-like mistakes. Evergrande, if those of you that don't know, is a hugely over-leveraged real estate company in China that's responsible for 2% of all residential living spaces, which in a country that big is an enormous amount of money. They are $300 billion in debt. Yesterday or 2 days ago now, they threatened their employees to loan the company cash or be fired. But please tell me how China is going to eat our lunch. Let's see. Let me grab another one. Let's see. So how's China doing? And by just ignoring the fact that China's doing so great, they're doing so great right now. And why? And Biden he's not even bringing it up. Global economy can feel the effects of China's Evergrande crisis. Here's what investors should know. This is the key points. Chinese officials are expected to stem the spillover from liquidity issues at Evergrande, the country's largest property developer, before it slams the banking system and bleeds into foreign financial centers. By the way, over the last 6 years in particular, China has been isolating its economic system from the rest of the world. They've been drowning their billionaires, not letting them leave the country, arresting some of them. I mean, drowning them in, like hiding them away, like burying them effectively. But strategists are also saying Beijing needs to act quickly to restructure Evergrande because markets are becoming nervous and it's hurting sentiment. Yeah, you think? The problems at the property developer could damage China's economy and from there also dent the world economy. Again, dent the world economy. Why? Because there's a bunch of Chinese millionaires and billionaires who have hidden their money away from the Chinese government by putting it into the American stock market and other places. And if Evergrande takes a giant shit, which is where all their legit money is, they're going to have to sell their stocks and their holdings and their equity shares and whatever to get money just to live on, because it's going to collapse. And people fear that that money being taken out of the stock market, which is happening right now, which is why you've seen a lowering of it. That's effectively the first start of this bleed, okay? That they're afraid that that's going to have an impact across world markets. It's not on a 2008 scale, and largely because China has been so isolationist with its economy over the last 5 years. It was bad already, but they at least they started retracting away, trying to keep everybody from getting their money out of the country, because they were afraid that all the investors that were in the country that have money were all smelling blood in the water, or were just running for the exits. So yeah, this is, when was this one? This is September 20th. So interest payments deadline this week. They're not going to make them. They've already said so. There is no rescue plan. The Chinese are arguing right now about whether to let it fail just to scare people away from investing, because they're trying to restructure what they view as capitalism in the country. They think this is a good opportunity to do it. The Great Reset that Glenn Beck and others have been warning you about, that the U.S. government and the UN and everybody is trying to crash the whole system so that they can go back to debt zero and start from scratch all over again. There'll be no private property and blah, blah, blah. That's what China's trying to do internally in their country. No one else is trying this. Central bank action, which is to bail them out again. Market resumes Wednesday, right? Because they had to freeze it. A liquidity crisis at a large Chinese property developer has shaken global markets, and strategists say it could send ripples across the global economy. Again, ripples. This is not 2008 where everything's tied up in these bullshit credit default swaps. But the issue could likely be contained by the Chinese government before it wreaks damage in the banking system, and it is not expected to lead to a broader global financial contagion. That's because the Chinese have been ejecting everyone. You can't own anything. That's the upside of the shady parts of the Chinese economy, because they didn't let people buy in. You were always on the hook. You were always, even film companies, when they were making movies over there, the Chinese government owned portions of it. It was like, when they give a tax break to a sports team and they come in to build them a new stadium, but then the city gets the revenue from, all the jobs and shit like that. And that's what they're kind of counting on. It's a big corrupt version of that. And so nobody goes in there and goes, oh, they invest and we both split the profits. No, they just keep the domestic part of it entirely, knowing that with the number of people they have, that there's money to be made there and within itself. This is why nobody's panicking about China except Fox.
Border crisis is out of control. Concern growing that because of the ongoing migrant surges in Del Rio, Texas, and the Rio Grande Valley, resources are being reassigned as well. You've got...
Oh, you mean because the Biden administration is responding to it?
13 service...
How will China make an effort to do this? To do what? To bail them out? That's the big question. Nobody knows for sure what they're going to try on it, and because they're pretty opaque. And China has more of a tradition of just like letting it fold and pretending it never existed, and then just scooping anybody who's a troublemaker up.
Dead as a result of no plan whatsoever to get us out of Afghanistan. And now Joe Biden wants to raise...
I'm sorry, excuse me, no plan? Excuse me, Trump had a great plan. It was a beautiful plan. It was beautiful and strong and beautiful. It was a beautiful plan. It's just no one followed it because no one's ever seen it, because it doesn't exist.
Going to raise the cap.
He was worried somebody would steal his plan, so he folded it and rolled it up and stuffed it up Stephen Miller's ass, and no one wants to look there.
On Afghan refugees. So you've got hundreds of thousands coming in from Mexico every month. You've got thousands coming in from Afghanistan as well. Congressman, is there anything
Yeah,
here?
They're not coming across the southern border. And those people are people that helped us during the Afghan war, that you were clamoring we had to get them out. We got to get the Afghans out of Afghanistan. We got to get our SIV people. We got to get them out. We got to get them out. This is terrible. They're our allies. We have to get them out. We have to keep them out. We have to keep them out of here, though. We have to keep them out of here. We got to get them out. We got to keep them out. We got to get them out. We got to keep them out. That's the Fox.
Your colleagues on the Republican Party can do about this. And by the way, let me just add, you were a Democrat. You left the Democrat Party and became a Republican.
Democratic Party.
years ago, and one of the issues that you had was you felt that there were mistruths. There are. Let's be honest. There are lies. Okay, this administration.
Yeah, like Trump had a plan to leave Afghanistan. You mean like that kind of a lie?
Chooses to call the open border a crisis. That's a lie. COVID and all of the issues around COVID and the lies there.
What do you mean? Are we going straight up hoax? You mean ivermectin? You mean horse pace works? Is that where we're going, Maria?
Hiding actual medicines like ivermectin and
Oh, she was. I was kidding. They're hiding actual medicines like ivermectin. Are you out of your fucking mind, woman? They're not hiding actual medicines.
Chloroquine, which were effective early on, another lie. Your thoughts on why we can't get truth?
Yes, it's a lie that they were effective early on. Hydroxychloroquine is great against COVID if you never have symptoms.
Look at the Democrat
So,
Party.
by the way, it's as effective as having coffee for breakfast on the day you never have to go to the hospital for COVID when you test positive, or having eggs. It's the same efficacy.
Now jamming in the debt ceiling situation in the spending, trying to put it on Republicans. Again, it's just all games.
What do you mean games? How is it? If they're the ones who aren't going to vote to raise it in this situation, then they have to explain why. Why is this a game? Yes, this is MAGA tears writ large.
The reconciliation bill is going to be the largest spending bill in history. We shouldn't be doing that at this point in time.
No, we should, we need to starve the beast. The important thing is that we have a government that is small enough for Vladimir Putin to drown in a bathtub.
And the actual truth is, it's a constant desire on their part, let's talk about COVID, to keep our eye off the ball, which is that our country is being diminished. And that's...
Our country is being diminished by responding to COVID?
We should be looking at. Explain to me, I'd like somebody to explain to me. I asked Mayorkas when he was in our committee last time, he's going to be there this week again. I said, how are things going at the border? And he said, just fine. And I said, I couldn't believe he was saying that to me. Is he looking at the same thing? It's like looking at your hand in front of your face and saying...
Yeah, but you're looking at the people crossing. You're not looking at the people staying. Your responsibility is your ability to respond to the things that are actually happening, not your responsibility for the things that happen outside of your control. If a bunch of immigrants show up all of a sudden at the southern border, you are responsible for how to deal with said things, meaning they restarted the flights to Haiti. They organized with the Haitian government to have safe ways to drop people off that went. They have families that are being processed with small children, so they will go through an asylum process, or we'll have some sort of NGO sponsor, or those kind of things, which we do normally in these circumstances. There's less than 10,000 of them. They spread them out. They took them from Del Rio. They flew them to other locations where it wasn't all jammed up. They separated the families traveling together from the individual males. And they expelled almost everyone. They just said, no, you can't come in. Just because you're here doesn't mean you get to come in. Yes, it's great to be in America, but it can also be great to be in Mexico. It can also be great to be in Haiti, in your own country. It's also great to be in Guatemala. It's great to be in Brazil. No country is more responsible for you than any other. And in certain situations where it's women and children and they're fleeing violence or that kind of stuff, then we have a responsibility to provide what limited resources we have to people who have genuine reasons to flee those areas, not just economic migrants who are using an earthquake and a failed government in a particular country to run to the most prosperous country they can find, instead of actually trying to rebuild their own country or help in a country nearby. This is what you respond to. This is just like a grown-up. That's why there's a comprehensive immigration bill that this asshole will not vote for.
You don't see it. This is bizarro world. I mean, this is not anything that we've seen in our history in the country. And
of course we have. Weren't we warned about caravans the entirety of the Trump years? These caravans are on the way. Oh my God. These caravans.
Bottom line is, yes, I'll be honest with you, and I guess I'm going to be a little political.
Why start?
say this, we have to get the majority in the House just to create a firewall to stop some of this.
Yeah, you're not going to. Sorry. Yeah, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose because your own voters don't trust elections anymore because of Trump and because of people like you. They're not gonna show up. They're not gonna vote. They think it's rigged to start with. They don't realize they lost fair and square, so they think the system is against them, so why even try? They're just going to... And then a ton of them are dying or have relatives who are dying and are getting resentful towards the Republican Party for their relative dying, and so they're not going to vote either.
I don't know where they want to go. I don't know what their desire is, but we need...
Once you look at Joe Biden's campaign pages that he ran last year, because it'll tell you, it's pretty standard stuff. Build up the middle class... make the rich pay their fair share, if they've been paying zero in income taxes, those kind of things, getting them closer to a normal rate, rebuilding infrastructure, rebuilding alliances, pushing back on China's expansion in the South China Seas and protecting Taiwan and working with our allies like South Korea and that kind of stuff. It's all in there. That's what's happening. That's actually what's going on.
Stronger, better America. We don't need to be weaker and stupider, and that's exactly where we're going now. And there is no explanation for it. But you know what else? We're losing our freedoms. They're also using COVID.
Yeah, we're losing. Yeah, you're losing your freedom to die of it.
And the vaccinations and everything that goes along with it to take our freedoms away. So everybody's focusing on that because people are really upset about that, and they forget a little bit about all the other problems we have. It's every day, Maria. Every day there's a new problem.
Imagine if you're the president and you're having to run the whole country during this time and you actually give a shit, unlike the former guy.
Every day we're losing strength in the United States, in my opinion. When our last...
Again, I got to say, why? He knows what the response is at the border. He knows they restarted the flights to Haiti and that they bifurcated the crowds there and started breaking them up. They're responding to it. It took them about 3 days to get a plan in place that wouldn't entail strafe bombing under the bridge, which is Republicans are why don't we just get more guys with whips down there? Yeah, denuclearization, wiggle, wiggle, denuclearization. Honestly, how in this is America's position in the world diminished because we got out of Afghanistan? The fuck were we doing there in the first place? Why were we there for the last 10 years? Trump ran on getting us out. So we finally get out and that's diminished us in the world? Hold on. So wait, we're scrolling through. And how about with dishing out the best laughter? No. Oh, thanks, Leroy. I try. And by the way, again, reminding everyone, I take all these issues seriously, which means I refuse to take these assholes seriously. That's how it works here.
Donald Trump was there. Like him or not, people knew he business. When he spoke to the UN, yes, some people like to say that the UN didn't like it. I know why they didn't like it, because he spoke about American strength and what we would tolerate.
Yeah, but then he didn't do anything on it.
And what we would not tolerate. And he was right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what would we not tolerate? Staying in Afghanistan for 4 more years? Because that's what he did.
Well, you're on the Homeland Security Committee, and you see it all. We'll be watching, Congressman. It's
it's funny. He's on the Homeland Security Committee, and he wasn't actually able to address anything about the border crisis or about Homeland Security in this entire segment that wasn't just clips he had seen on the news. That's awkward.
Dire interview. It's a sad state of affairs, but of course we're going to be covering it and putting a spotlight on all of this. Jeff Van Drew, please come back soon. Don't be a stranger, sir. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Congressman Jeff Van Drew.
Mornings with Maria. Isn't it called a morning with Maria?